You can usually tell which lawn on the street is the most thirsty just by looking at the color. The one that turns brown first is the one that's been overwatered. Every summer, the story repeats itself. Houses that run a sprinkler every morning end up with the most fragile grass on the block. By mid-July, the turf is crispy and patchy, no matter how much water they pour on it. Japanese homes face summers that are just as hot, often hotter, yet their lawns stay a deep green while using only a fraction of the water. They achieve this without a daily sprinkler, without a fancy timer, and without any quick green chemicals. Their secret is almost counterintuitive. The more water you apply from the surface, the weaker the lawn becomes underneath. Once you understand why, you'll never run that sprinkler the same way again. First, let's look at the 4 main reasons a lawn browns out in summer, and the inexpensive fix for each. That part is easy, and most people already try it. The real problem is that nobody addresses what's happening beneath the surface. When you finally get the grass green again, I'll show you the Japanese system that keeps it that way with less water season after season. That way you stop fighting the same brown patches with the same sprinkler every summer. The 4 quick fixes. Start with the most common issue because it's probably the patch you're staring at right now. By mid-July, the sunniest stretch of lawn turns pale, then straw-colored in irregular blotches, while the grass between those spots still looks fine. The obvious reaction is to lengthen the watering cycles, add an extra evening run, or drag a second sprinkler to the dry corner. The lawn looks better for a day, then the patches return a little wider than before. What the hose never tells you is that this browning is almost never caused by thirst. A lawn that receives a little water every morning learns to keep all its roots in the top inch of soil because that's where the water stays. Those shallow roots sit in a layer that bakes the moment a heat wave arrives. You didn't grow a thirsty lawn, you grew a shallow one quick sprinkle at a time. Japanese watering follows the opposite instinct. Soak deep, then let the lawn wait. Instead of 10 minutes every morning, give the grass one long, slow drink that reaches about 6 inches down, then leave it alone until it truly needs more. Roots chase water, grow deeper, and the deeper roots keep the lawn alive when the surface dries out. Switching costs nothing, just the same hose, fewer runs. To check how deep your water is reaching, push a long screwdriver into the soil an hour after watering. If it slides easily to 6 inches, you've hit the target. Most lawns stay green on about an inch of water a week if you give them 1 or 2 deep soaks instead of 7 shallow ones. Less water set deeper does far more. 5/5 timing matters, a subtler mistake most people never connect to their watering schedule is the time of day they water. The lawn looks lush first thing in the morning, right after the sprinkler stops. By 2 or 3 in the afternoon, it looks dull and limp, blades folding under the heat. By evening, it perks back up. So you blame the sun. The sun is real, but it isn't the problem. The problem is watering at noon or giving a panic soak when the grass looks sad at midday. Half that water never reaches the roots. It evaporates from hot blades and warm soil before the grass can drink it. You pay for the whole run, but the lawn gets only a fraction. Watering in the evening avoids the heat, but the grass sits wet and cool in the dark for hours, inviting lawn disease. One window beats both. Japanese gardeners have long favored watering early in the cool hush before the day heats up, roughly 4 to 8 in the morning. The air is still, evaporation is minimal, and the lawn drinks deep while the soil stays cool. The rising sun then dries the blades through the morning, so the grass enters the hot afternoon fully watered and the night dry. The same amount of water, but the timing makes a huge difference. A cheap hose timer set for 5 in the morning does the job while you sleep. After that, the daily wilt stops being a routine event. 5 mowing height now. A quick note about mowing height because the internet is full of bad advice on this. Somewhere along the way, people decided a short lawn looks neat. Cutting it close, like a golf green, makes it look tidy and reduces how often you have to mow. So the mower comes out on its lowest setting, heading into the hottest stretch of the year. Within a week or two, the close-cut lawn goes pale and crispy. Thin patches open up, and weeds you've never seen before start moving into the gaps. You water harder to rescue it, which, as we've already covered, is the wrong problem. What scalping actually does is remove the grass blades that act as the lawn's own shade. When you cut them to nothing, you expose bare soil to direct summer sun, and that surface can climb to punishing temperatures. Hot, exposed soil dries fast, cooks the shallow roots beneath it, and creates a perfect seed bed for weeds. The buzzer cut doesn't keep the lawn tidy for long. It tears away the lawn's own sunshade at the worst possible time of year. The Japanese instinct runs the other way, restraint over force. Take a little, not a lot. On a lawn, that means raising the mower, not lowering it. Most lawns hold up best at 3 inches or taller through summer. The rule that protects you is simple. Never remove more than 1/3 of the blade in one pass. Taller grass shades its own soil, keeps the root zone cooler, and crowds out weeds before they start. Want to mow less often? Skip the shortcut, set the mower higher, and it does 3 jobs at once for free. Soil compaction. The 4th issue is the one people blame on everything except the real cause. You water, and instead of soaking in, the water sheets off toward the sidewalk or pools in shiny puddles long after the sprinkler stops. Either way, the grass stays thirsty while the water goes where it isn't wanted. You assume the soil is bad and water even longer to force something through. 9 times out of 10, the soil itself is fine. The problem is compaction. Years of foot traffic, mowing, and rain have pressed the soil particles tightly together. Water can't push through packed earth any faster than through a brick, so it runs off or sits on top. Your roots are sealed under a lid, and no amount of extra watering gets past it. The fix is embarrassingly low tech. Open the soil so it can breathe and drink. On a small lawn, a garden fork is all you need. Drive it in, rock it back, pull it out every few inches across the lawn. Those channels let water, air, and roots travel straight down. Then comes the part Japanese gardeners have done for generations, top dressing or mitsuchi. Spread a thin 1/4-inch layer of compost over the lawn and work it into the holes. It feeds the soil, helps the ground hold moisture like a sponge instead of shedding it, and over a season turns hard, hungry dirt into soil that accepts water. A garden fork you probably already own, and a bag of compost run about $10 to $15. Aerate and top dress once or twice a year, and the runoff stops coming back. The water finally goes where you've been trying to send it all along. Down, 5 feet, putting it all together. So those 4 fixes are the easy part. What makes them last is the thing almost no one does. Look at the 4 fixes side by side. 1, water deep and wait. 2, water before sunrise. 3, mow higher. 4, open and feed the soil. They look like 4 separate tips, but they're actually 4 pressures pushing in the same direction. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every one of them drives the lawn to root deeper. Deep watering pulls roots down. Higher mowing grows more blade, and more blade grows more root. Aerating and top dressing give those roots a soft, rich, moisture holding medium to grow into. You're not running 4 tricks, you're building one thing, a deep, self-reliant root system in living soil that holds water like a reservoir. A green lawn in August isn't about how much water you pour on top. It's about how deep the roots go underneath. A shallow rooted lawn lives off whatever you sprinkled that morning, so the day you stop it browns. A deep-rooted lawn in good soil draws on a reserve inches down, water that stays there days after the last drink. One lawn depends on you and your hose every day. The other mostly takes care of itself and only calls on you in a real drought. That's why the classic Japanese lawn grass, a turf called keisha, is prized. It roots deep and shrugs off heat and dry spells that flatten softer grasses. You don't have to rip up your yard and reseed with it, and I wouldn't tell you to. Forget the grass itself. What matters is the principle, a lawn built to reach down for water instead of waiting for it to fall from above. You can grow that habit into the lawn you already have with the 4 fixes and a bag of compost. Step back for a second, because the deeper lesson here was never really about grass. It comes down to which direction you point your effort. Almost everything the lawn industry sells you points up: more water on top, more green on top, more product on top. It all treats the surface, which is why it has to be repeated forever. The Japanese habit points the other way, down at the soil and the roots, at the conditions that decide whether anything on the surface survives without you. Fix the surface and you're back next week. Fix what's underneath and the surface takes care of itself. Stop watering the lawn. Start watering the soil and look at what that costs. A garden fork you probably already own. 1 or 2 bags of compost a year. Call it $10 to $30. Your same hose runs less often on a $5 timer if you want it automatic. That's the whole system. The other road is a summer of high water bills, quick green fertilizer every few weeks, maybe a few hundred chasing an irrigation upgrade, and a lawn that still browns the moment you stop feeding it. One path costs a one-time investment. The other costs forever and never fixes the problem. Verify your action plan this week 1. Tonight, set your watering timer for 1 long soak before sunrise, around 5 in the morning instead of a daily sprinkle. 2. Next time you mow, raise the blade to leave the grass about 3 inches tall and never cut more than 1/3 of the blade at once. 3. This weekend, take a garden fork to the worst patch, the spot that pools or runs off, and work a thin layer of compost into the holes. That's it. 3 moves, almost